Well, welcome back, Screen Preach, everybody. Wait, 69. 69. I should have remembered that one, right? Wow, I finally forget what episode we're on in the beginning, and it's 69 that I forget. How is everybody doing? We're back again. I took a shorter break this time from the pod. Because, well, I suppose it makes sense, right? There's not a lot of new stuff coming out in the next few weeks, so I thought if I don't do one for Eternals now, I'm going to be waiting way too long to do one for Eternals. And it was the latest thing I saw, and I just, why not go back and we'll just dedicate the whole episode to that movie. And that is the one topic of the day today. But yeah. And we will be talking about it soon enough. In the name of the Godfather, the Son of Odin, the Holy Jedi. Look at that. He remembered to say the slogan this time and everything. We're on track. I know, right? I gotta get around to changing the posters up. It's been a while, but I took that break, so these actually have been up as much as any of the other ones. So yeah, maybe the next one we'll switch it up. Yeah, here we are. I'm sorry I look like a hobo, but it's Friday night, and last week I didn't shave, or, I didn't do my usual thing, so I guess, I don't know, am I trying to do the no-shave November thing, just too late? I didn't start it when November started, so I don't know, maybe now, it's too, I don't know what I'm doing, whatever. Apologies for the look. Yeah, but we're still here, and I'm still on point. We're doing the same thing we do, and I have no reason to not be. I'm in it. I'm focused. We're good. What else is going on? Because I don't know. There's always a lot of news to talk about now because I take longer to do the episode, so there's of course a lot of build up. There's a lot of things we could go through. I guess we'll go through them now quickly. But botched another intro, didn't I? There's a word I've been saying a lot lately. Botched. I'm saying botched for everything. I botched that. The other day I was driving and I parked and I hit the curb a little bit when I parked. I botched that. Or I'm saying, I was saying to someone recently, a word will get in your head in a day, and that's the word you use to describe a bunch of different things throughout the day. That's just that's the word of the day. It's weird how that happens. It must happen to everybody. You just it's there already, so you just keep recycling it when you want to describe something. But what's funny is you're using it for everything, and things that it doesn't fit with, it probably shouldn't be used. But I definitely botched this. I don't know how else to describe it. I don't know. Am I in podcast mode? I really hope I am, because I can't keep doing this where every other week is a good episode, or I feel good every other week doing an episode. But I'm ready here and prepared. What the fuck is with this stuttering thing? Why can't I just get the words out of my mouth in fluid sentences? This is why I write up a prompt for the week. This is why. Because when I'm talking about the movie, if I don't have something here to go off of, I'm just spitting, I'm spewing just straight mumbo jumbo shit. Mumbo jumbo. Bubba Gump. I had Bubba Gump for the first time ever yesterday. Not a bad burger. I was high, so can't really tell how good it really was. Yeah, what else? I'm watching all the same stuff. I wish there were more movies to It still applies that you should go watch The Harder They Fall. It's out on Netflix. You gotta go see The Last Night in Soho. It's in the theaters. The French Dispatch is in theaters. What else? There was something else recently. Red Notice on Netflix, and then now it's kind of, I think, yeah, it's award season's coming up, so a lot of like the really heavy dramas will be coming out. Halle Berry's movie Bruised is coming out. There was that movie Passing on Netflix. There's that one Benedict Cumberbatch is in, The Power of the Dog. So yeah, there's gonna be plenty to see. I only do 3 an episode, so I don't know yet. I think the next one will be kind of award centric in terms of the films. Like, I want to talk about Licorice Pizza when it comes out, which is Paul Thomas Anderson's next one. And I know I want to talk about Don't Look Up. So, like, those are big for me. Like, the Don't Look Up is, like, I'm really looking forward to. And that's, like, the big one for me in terms of awards movies. So it'll be that, Licorice Pizza. I don't know what the third one will be. I'll see West Side Story, right? Spielberg's remake, but I'm not, like, gushing over that. Something you should probably know about me for being such a cinephile, I'm not huge on musicals. I don't care how classic, how the classics changed, cinema and all that. It just doesn't do it for me. It never did. Probably never will. Maybe, I can't say that. I can't say never will. Maybe one day I'll start liking musicals. I don't know. But of course I saw West Side Story, the classic West Side Story, of course. Of course it's a good movie. It's a classic, but it's not like something that I ever return to, really. Ever. I'm not, like, dying to see a West Side Story remake. But my favorite musical is Singin' in the Rain. But even that, I've only seen one time. No, twice. I've seen that at least twice. My point is, I'm not big on musicals. So I'm not, like, gonna talk about West Side Story. I'll bring it up, maybe briefly. I recommend it. Go see it. How can I recommend something I haven't seen yet, though? See, is that truly the right way to recommend anything? Because what if I say it sucks? And I'm like, you don't even need to see it. Don't go. Don't see it. How's this? Good? Yeah. What else? Any other updates before we get into things? Interesting week, right? They're all interesting fucking weeks, and by that, I mean they're not interesting at all. Right? But yeah. Really cool news happened this week. Some really interesting stuff just today happened, so we'll get into the news now. Good segue. It won't be, not today for you, but Friday here, some interesting updates, and in the last couple weeks too. I always try to post about everything that I think is important. And for those of you who actually keep up with the show, I thank you most of all. Obviously, it's thank you for actually, like, being a legit follower of this thing, and actually caring what I have to say. Because who am I to? What's my opinion matter? Everybody's got an opinion about a movie they saw, right? But I like that I've allowed this thing to kind of change and grow and do whatever it's gonna do. Adding new segments to it, changing, maybe taking some things away, and it's fine. Of course, I'd love to always be making it better, and always, but then it would be a job, and I just can't. I can't fit it. I can't make this a job. It's just not. It's just a hobby, and so I'm sorry if the effort comes off that way, like where it seems like it's in poor quality. This show. But it's just for fun, and that's why I expect nothing less. I mean, or nothing more, or nothing. Is there nothing less? Expect nothing less, yeah, than what I'm getting. Expect nothing more than what I'm getting, in terms of, like, a following and how quickly or how slowly this is growing. It's not. It's just, it's a platform. Like I've always said from the beginning, it's a platform for me to utilize, especially I will continue to grow as an actual screenwriter in my career. Then my actual career will grow and continue to move in the right direction. So that's why I utilize this, because I can, utilize both aspects of my cinephilia. Is that the... If I'm becoming a better writer and I'm actually making progress over there, not if, when, this is what it's here for me. I can promote anything on here. I can use this any way I want. It's the beauty of it. It's not something I ever would tell anyone not to at least give a shot. If you want to get yourself out there, you want a voice, you want to be seen and heard, nobody's stopping you from doing something like this. At the very least, I could have done this, and so that's why I'm doing it. But yeah, I do appreciate anyone who does follow up. So you'll know if you're keeping up, you'll know what I post. You'll see, and it's all cool stuff. It's very interesting news in the last couple of weeks. So what do we got? That was obviously the big thing with Squid Game, was that they're it seems to be confirmed that they're doing a second season. So I still haven't finished it yet. I'm trying to watch it with somebody, and we're not on the same fucking page. You know who you are. But we'll get there. But I will finish it soon. I don't know how it ends, so the fact that there will be a second season, I can't attest to what I think that'll be yet. But it doesn't surprise me, something as popular as that. Halloween Ends will apparently be much more intimate and honor John Carpenter's entire body of work, according to David Gordon Green, director. So yeah, with the holiday season, Halloween season is over. The holiday season continues. And we'll see what happens with Halloween. Halloween Ends next year. If you want to see my take on Halloween Kills, you know what you gotta do. Go back to the previous episode and check that out. Leonardo DiCaprio is in final talks to star in and produce MGM's Jim Jones movie. So Leo continues to be a workhorse. There's nothing new there. Patty Jenkins' Rogue... Oh, this was tough to see. Yeah, Patty Jenkins' Rogue Squadron for Star Wars Rogue Squadron, their next movie, has been delayed and taken off of the schedule entirely right now. So we have no idea when it's even remotely getting some movement on it, because apparently scheduling conflicts and whatnot. I don't know what Patty Jenkins is doing, but we know what she's doing, right? When Wonder Woman 3 might be on her schedule first before this. That might be why it got delayed. Who knows? I mean, that seems the most likely reason. But I'm still totally looking forward to that. I hope that nothing too conflicting happens where she can't do it. I know it's supposed to be as personal a Star Wars story as Patty Jenkins can make, because it's apparently like Rogue Squadron for her. I mean, I don't know much about Patty Jenkins, but I know that when she took this job, it was cool for her, because she can really dive into a lot of themes that are similar to where her father was a pilot, and I guess being able to play in that kind of arena is the reason she's doing this kind of Star Wars movie at all. I'm definitely looking forward to it. Rogue Squadron has never had a fucking... I mean, the books were always... I love the Rogue Squadron books, so this was one of the really coolest announcements we got when they announced everything recently. Yeah, definitely looking forward to it. It sucks that it's going to be delayed. Refrain from the ums. We don't need ums. I might need tums, but I don't need ums. Do I have tums? No. Do I need them? No. Can we keep going? Yes. Can you shut up with the bullshit? Yes. Will you? No. Maybe. Star Trek, Transformers, pushed back at Paramount. Okay, I don't recall Transformers being in the works again. Was there another one? Oh yeah, there was. Star Trek, I know. Supposed to keep going there. Yeah, pushed back. Everything. What is that pushback about? Is that another scheduling thing? What is that? Because why are we even... The whole... If it's COVID related, just stop with this shit already. Yeah, keep your safety protocols and everything, but why are they pushing everything? I don't want to see anything. I'm sick of seeing pushbacks. Don't push back. Just leave it where it is. Just don't even look at it. Don't touch it. Don't just leave it right there where it is. Don't push it. Don't pull it. Just good. And let it do its thing. You know? You know what I'm talking about? No, we don't know what you're talking about. Me neither. Miss Marvel TV series will hit... this sucked to hear this too. Miss Marvel TV series will hit Disney Plus later than expected. So we don't actually know what the next thing is after Hawkeye now. It was supposed to be Miss Marvel. It was supposed to be the first thing in 2022. What is the first thing now? Probably She-Hulk or Moon Knight. It has to be because they seem to have the most progress besides Miss Marvel in terms of production and where they're at. They're filming. They might even be post-production now. We'll get to that in a second. There was some updates there. We don't actually get to see the footage and whatnot, but unless you were there or you found it online somehow, I don't know. But yeah, we'll get to that in a second. I just can't believe we don't exactly know what's next after Spider-Man. Spider-Man finishes out this first year in Marvel's new structure for their how they're doing their new narrative here, and it's like a lot of stuff, storylines every year now. I can't believe how many we've had, and it's just this 1 year alone. I mean, you can think about it. It's a lot, and every year's supposed to be like that. There was a time when we only got one. Way back in the beginning, it was just one movie a year, and then it turned into 2, and then it was 3, and 3 seemed to be the norm for a while. This is wild with the Disney Plus shows, and the fact that they added another movie too. 4 movies this year, 4 TV shows this year. Just in this year, it's really crazy actually. And that made me think earlier in the week too. I was thinking about it. You can't really, with that much going on, and with how expansive it's getting now, you can't exactly. You should expect that some of them will be a little less up to par with. Like people were like Black Widow didn't do it for me, or some people are saying Eternals didn't do it for them. Although it was mostly critics, and critics need to chill out with this one. We'll get to that in a minute. But it makes sense. It's not like at this point, I would expect that not every single one's going to be a fucking banger. Not everyone is going to slap. Because it's a lot now being juggled. There's a lot going on. So the fact that they can still put out pretty good ones, right? They're not as good as the best ones of the year, but they're still not complete shit. We have to say how impressive that is and how impressive that's going to be going forward. There will be ones that are not as good. But I don't know that there will ever be complete shit. As long as Marvel keeps doing what they're doing, knows what they're doing, and like I keep saying, learns how to adapt, because they will need to. Their formula that they have can only work for so long. And that's why Eternals is an important entry in this whole thing. And we'll get to that. Lena Dunham, Ruth Wilson, Dennis Lehan are teaming for HBO's Mob Queens TV series. It's like true story based on the wife of Vito Genovese and how she had kind of a hand in things a little bit, and how she was this like presence and powerhouse kind of. Wives didn't get fully involved, but doesn't mean some of them didn't play a part, so this will be interesting. I don't know what makes Lena Dunham the right choice for a crime drama like this, or whatever it plans on being. I don't know how it could be anything but crime drama. but Dennis Lehan involved. It's interesting. It was worth bringing up. I posted about it, so we'll see. I always like to learn about new things they're doing in that genre. It's my favorite genre. It's why Book of Boba Fett is like the quintessential Star Wars story for me, right? Criminal underworld centric Star Wars story. Anything Marvel does going forward, if they like, that's why like their grittier stuff will always be my favorite. It's, you know, everyone to each their own. Like, everybody's got their taste and whatnot. Fatal Attraction series ordered at Paramount. Yeah, Paramount Plus. Lizzie Kaplan to star. Lizzie Kaplan's getting all the remakes. She played Annie Wilkes, right, in Castle Rock. She's gonna play the new Fatal Attraction femme fatale. I wonder how they'll play that. Will they go for the full-blown Fatal Attraction type, you know, archetypal female character, like fucking Gone Girl type character, or will they try to do something a little different, like a different kind of iteration of what that could look like? Interesting to think about. Lizzie Kaplan's great, so that should be good. Should be. It doesn't all just come down to one person, these things. Predator prequel Prey to hit Hulu series. Yes, you know, you have to remember, like, Disney, what they own, too, and what they, you know, a lot of, there's going to be things that they make that just, the sandbox they have to play in now is wild. I think Prey is, because Predator, was that a Fox? It might have to have been. And then Disney bought Fox, and now they're doing this show on Hulu. I think it's Disney, because they announced that the same day as the Disney Plus Day, with all the other stuff, so it must be, right? Unless that was just a separate thing, I don't know. But speaking of Disney Plus Day, that was everything. It was like a lot of the biggest news. Other than what I saw today, that was like, there was a first look at She-Hulk, there was a first look at Moon Knight, a first look at Miss Marvel, even a first look at Secret Invasion. It was just one photo. But that was cool. That was really cool, and I kept seeing clips too. I was able to actually they were, you can find those. You can find those clips that they released quickly of like those shows, and I'm of course most hyped for Moon Knight. I think. I hope they do it right. It's gotta be great. It's gotta be the right tone. I really hope we'll see, but. There was that. There was a little bit of hinting at what's to come for Star Wars. Little tiny bit. Obi-Wan Kenobi series. We saw some concept art for it. The biggest one, of course, was apparently a duel between Obi-Wan and Darth Vader. Of course, I voiced my opinion already when I posted it. That's got to be like a dream sequence or something. You can't do another duel with those characters and make it work. I just don't see how you could. When they meet each other in A New Hope, it's the first time they're meeting each other since the last time they met each other. And the last time before that, of course, was the time that Darth Vader truly became Darth Vader. You can't have there's no middle one that we didn't know about. I just don't see it. So it's gotta be a dream sequence. It's just gotta be. I'm very curious. If it is real life, I'm very curious how you make that work. We'll see. Don't fucking ruin it. And there's a lot of pressure on Star Wars right now to get a lot of things right. Because after what they announced, they got big fucking balls on them. What they announced, what they're doing. There's some things they got to do right. Well, you have a lot of pissed off Star Wars fans. We all know how Star Wars fans can get. Just let's go back to 2017 and then relive that for a minute. Let's not. And then a lot of Marvel announcements. Their animated shows. Everything they announced coming to Disney Plus, their animated shows. Huge. Like, they're doing a Marvel Zombies animated show. They're doing a new X-Men animated show. They're doing... what was the other one? I know, I'll get to it. The biggest one of all, of course, is Spider-Man Freshman Year. which makes me curious. I will definitely watch that because it is MCU Peter, right? And exploring his time as Spider-Man early on before he met Tony Stark. That's what that series is about. But I find that most interesting because it's a Spider-Man story under Marvel on Disney Plus. Marvel and Sony must still have some kind of deal in place here. They're trying to. They must be working. That tells me that they're working something out where Spider-Man is going to exist in some way, shape, or form in the MCU going forward. It just, they must be working together. They must be trying to continue to work together. That was the coolest of the animated shows. They also announced, they have confirmed one of the other Disney Plus shows, live action, Agatha. House of Harkness, it's called. So they gave it an official title. We talked about it, how they're doing an Harkness spin-off show starring Catherine Hahn. This we have a title now. And then Echo was the other one, the other live action one, which we again already knew about, but they just, I guess, officially confirmed it. We will meet Echo next week when Hawkeye premieres. Assuming she's in the first 2 episodes, but yeah. It's just going to keep going. It's just going to keep... Now there's this one, it's just... I just don't know how you can even expect all of them to be fucking great. They're going to miss the mark sometimes. How can they not? It's just so much now that they're trying to do. Enjoy the ones that you enjoy, Sorry. Did I forget any of the new ones? No, it was Marvel Zombies. Yeah, that was it. Obi-Wan Kenobi will see our hero on the run from Jedi hunters. Ooh, that's a nice plot. That makes sense too. That makes a lot of sense. It would be like that too. Wouldn't Anakin and he's not Anakin, he's Darth Vader. Wouldn't Darth Vader be kind of in a state of mind that's all about vengeance? Wouldn't he want to be hunting down Obi-Wan Kenobi for a period of time? He probably would, after what happened to him, after what Obi-Wan did to him in that duel. It makes sense. Obi-Wan being on the run from Jedi hunters is it's a very hype storyline for that series. And coming sooner than it'll be here before you know it. They all just get here before you know it. Aaron Sorkin commented a little bit and said that what's happening now with Facebook is worth telling as a social network sequel. I doubt he'll do that. But he's right. There's a lot going on, and you could technically do a sequel. Aaron Sorkin's never done sequels. Don't start with that one. Doctor Strange sequel is undergoing significant reshoots. I wonder what that's about. You can't ever really tell. That you see that, you go, that can't be good, but you can't really tell. You can't really know. Some directors just like to be super thorough. Some directors go into it knowing, I'm going to do reshoots. Like, there will be reshoots. Some directors are just like that. But it's worth bringing up. Mel Gibson to direct a Lethal Weapon 5. Okay. The Halo live-action Paramount Plus series did release a little teaser posted about that. Of course I'm going to watch that. Who's not going to watch that who played the game, Avatar The Last Airbender casted its Uncle Iroh, Gyatso, and its Commander Zhao. So it did cast 3 more actors. Very interesting that they're doing a live action. Maybe it'll be done right this time. And then today there was the big things. We had Martin Scorsese is officially doing yet another film in his slate of films that are coming up. This one is a Grateful Dead biopic starring Jonah Hill. Are you not completely fucking intrigued by that? Who isn't completely on board for that one? Yeah. That is probably the biggest thing I heard today, even with the other things I heard. Blade casted another actor. It's finally not just Mahershala Ali that we know about. We actually have movement on Marvel's Blade. Delroy Lindo has joined the cast. Delroy Lindo's been great in the last couple of years alone, too. We've been seeing him into Five Bloods. He was just recently in The Harder They Fall. He's a great actor. I love this casting. No idea who he's playing yet, but good casting. And then the Ahsoka Tano series for Disney Plus casted a live-action Sabine Wren. If you don't know who that is, it's because you didn't see the animated series. Those are important to the storylines. Rebels was one of them, and Sabine Wren is a Mandalorian character that we have come to know and love if you've watched the show. There's going to be a live-action iteration of the character that we all kind of knew was coming, but finally been confirmed, and an actor is attached. It is... Who is it? It is... Open it up. Fucking computer. Natasha Liu. Again, I butcher every name you can possibly imagine, so don't take it personally. Natasha Liu Bordizzo is playing Sabine Wren. I think I've seen her before, too, in maybe a couple of things, but for the most part, I can't really place her. That's actually wild. Wild. That's like a big... For Star Wars people, that's huge to throw at us today, that news. That's it. That's the news of the last couple weeks. So we can get into our topic. Our topic of the day, of the week, of the month, of the year, of the decade is Eternals. Marvel's Eternals. Written by, directed. I thought she wrote it too. She might have written some of it. She had to have written some of it. But Chloe Zhao, I think is how you pronounce it, brought her vision to a Marvel film. Right? And this one is the first ever rotten film. Critics butchered it. Right? It was 50-50. Critics were 50-50 on it. Half of them liked it, half of them didn't. First time Marvel's ever had a rotten film. Who cares? Nobody cared, and nobody cares anymore either. That news was so... Because, first of all, it helps that you're not entirely right, critics. That this movie is not as bad as they were making it out to be. That helps. If it really was a piece of shit, that really would have disappointed everybody. But it wasn't. So that's good, right? Here we go. This is it, right? The moment of truth. My opinion. What did I think? Was it here's what was Eternals good? Definitely not what the critics made it out to be. Not even close. It actually is in many ways the quite opposite of that. I was always saying it's going to be a bold step forward, a bold step forward. It didn't feel like anything less than that to me. It felt like a bold step forward. Look, it's a flawed film. There's no doubt. It had its flaws. But it, in many ways, it stripped it down and became Marvel's most stripped down film. I'm trying to think if that's entirely true. Like, if we think about all their films, I can't think of anyone that is as, in many ways, grounded as this one. Does that make sense? And somehow it manages to be that and this big kind of sci-fi epic at the same time. But it feels different. It doesn't feel like other Marvel movies. And that's why I liked it most of all, is because it does try to be something different. And that's okay. It's funny to me because it's like people are always like, you can't have the same formula. You can't always be the same thing. And they try to do something different here, and everyone's like, it doesn't feel like a Marvel movie. It doesn't feel like a superhero movie. Fucking, make up your fucking mind. What do you want? And yeah, it's like they want you to not be the same, but do it this specific way. You can't have your cake and eat it too. What do you want? Come on. People nitpick. Don't nitpick, okay? If it's really if it's a piece of shit, we're all gonna be like, yeah, okay, that was a piece of shit. It wasn't. It wasn't. This one was just different. It was more. The plot was more character heavy. It was less about like the superhero level stakes. I mean, they had those, and it did build to that, but despite how huge the stakes were, I liked the approach to those stakes. That helped keep it feeling fresh. It was a different approach to those big stakes we're used to seeing. It's not like other end of the world epics. It is still an end of the world epic, but it's more character driven. It's less. Yeah, it's less superhero. Superhero tropey in a way, while also being almost more like, if anything, it's more like a historical kind of piece or a mythological kind of piece, right? Less like superheroes, more like a Greek mythology, it felt like. Actually, yeah, at times, more like that. And that is perfect for what they're trying to do with this one. It was very much like expanding on the history of the universe that we've come to know over the last decade. And that's what it felt like. It's like, let's dive really deep into how everything kind of works and things that have happened that we didn't know about, and how big things actually are, and what the history is, and how big that history actually is, and we didn't know how big it was unless you read the comics. I liked that. That's what this film is trying to do for us. And because it's character driven, I'll say that is also one of the, that also hurts the film, because it misses the mark with its characters because there's too many characters. So they don't have enough time to spend, even with 2.5 hour runtime. They didn't have enough time to really fully flesh out some of the characters that we get to know, and we start to care about. We care about everybody. I think I genuinely start to care about every character, but then we don't spend enough time with some of them. You see what I mean? Now, with that being said, anyone watching this and thinking, oh, we didn't spend enough time with them, it's fucking Marvel. You're gonna see them again. This is a long fucking story that they're building here. Again. We will see characters again. They will be fleshed out more. So, to judge one film on that is very... You gotta have your one siren in the fucking thing, right? Always. Always living on this street. Yeah, to judge it just on that is weird to me. Of course you're going to be able to... It's just, yeah, in one singular movie, it does feel overloaded with characters. And what's funny is I think I heard somewhere that they wanted to put even more characters in it. I don't know. That didn't hurt it enough, though, for me. That's not like something that impinged on my viewing of it. Like, where I'm like, this is annoying. Like, I can't. It's not good. I don't feel that, especially considering it feels like that kind of Marvel multi-perspective thing where there's a lot of character. That's not new. We've seen that. They just perhaps didn't juggle it as well as they should have, like with an Avengers movie. And with an Avengers movie, you have to understand, we've gotten to know those characters well before we see them all together, and then juggling the perspectives it's easier to spend less time with characters because we know them already. It's like, well, it's not like we don't know them. We didn't see them as much, but we know them. And they try to do that here, and we don't know these characters as well. So when you're not spending time with them, it can feel like that. It can feel like, well, this hurts the film. So I get that. I get that. But yeah. It's clear to me, though, that Zhao and Marvel chose to focus on clear protagonists. They presented us with clear leading people, right? And those are the people that we spend the most time with. They had effective arcs. Characters like, obviously, Cersei and Thena and Icarus have legitimate arcs. My favorite characters were Drueg, Thena, and Cersei. But like I was, even Sprite and Fastos and Kingo, they have strong enough arcs. We don't. They're the ones maybe we don't spend as much time with, but they still have clear perspectives, clear wants, clear goal. Like it's not like there was a lack of time spent on most of the characters. The ones that kind of went off to the wayside either died in the film or yeah, the one I'm thinking of most is the speedster, and I'm blanking on her name. She probably got the least amount of time spent on her. Yeah, well. And then I got to talk about Icarus. There's the matter of the character of Icarus, right? In many ways, Marvel gave us their like Superman movie here, right? Their bad Superman movie with this. That was the whole Icarus thing. I honestly had a hard time fully investing myself in, if I'm being honest, Richard Madden's portrayal of this leading man. But as the film went on, I did grow to like him more and effectively not like him in the same film, which was the point. His arc worked. It concluded in a way I didn't much care for. But he's also a very significant character in the comics, and he very clearly, to me, he's a significant character going forward. I'm sure that they're probably setting up some kind of path to redemption for the character. I don't know, I don't know that spoilers, right? We haven't seen the last of him. The cinematography was fucking awesome. Visually, this film, very pleasing. It added like this extra aesthetic nature to the characters. They are something to marvel at. Fun, no pun intended. They mesmerize you sometimes, and as you get to know them and learn what they really are, their humanity somehow shines through that much brighter. For a film about, spoiler alert, space robots, they feel very human. This manages to be a very human Marvel film, and very grounded, and at the same time feeling like a proper sci-fi epic. So I respected that. There was something I felt when I was watching it. The natural lighting, the score, the performances, they all make this film worthwhile. It was an all-around watchable entry. And for us MCU fans, the start of something even more expansive. If Marvel could possibly get any bigger. I mean, they just continue to grow up. But yeah, this new cornerstone, almost in a way, is set up. So the coming stories, the continuing of arcs, it's something I greatly look forward to. My biggest problem, actually, with the movie it had to do with the deviants. They were my least favorite thing about the movie. They felt too plot devicey to me, the deviants. They ended up adding nothing really meaningful to the story, in my opinion, other than to be there to serve a plot purpose. And they were like kind of just there for world building purposes too. Because I don't know, it was just weird to me. If they because in the film they discover that the deviants are as much pawns as the Eternals, and like they're all kind of in the same boat. The real threat seemed to be the Celestials, right? So it was weird to me that deviants would even want to continue fighting the Eternals at that point. And so their whole kind of presence in the film is not clear enough or fleshed out enough. I wasn't feeling that dynamic, this whole Eternals Deviants thing. It didn't fully hit the mark for me. But it didn't fully hurt it for me either. But there is a theme of like nature that I found really interesting in this story. Like life, natural instinct, circle of life, kind of like it seems to be like this key center point of the movie, which is interesting because they're not from Earth, and they are these cosmic beings, and they're not even human. So it's very interesting because they have natural instincts. They have natural humanistic, animalistic instincts to survive and to, serve a purpose. And so I found it I understood all the characters kind of not wanting to, or struggling with deviating from that natural instinct they have, or from that purpose they think they have. So that helped with the deviance thing too. That includes the deviance. I could see why even they would have a hard time deviating from their like natural instinct to kill Eternals. There is this like interesting theme of nature that worked for me very well. And that's it, really. You know me, I always stick to story more than anything. That's what grabs me. So it's always narrative focus, where my mind goes and where my opinions stem from. All around, it was a really good, really good MCU film for me, like personally. And I'll even say it was better than Black Widow. You know, I fell on the other side of the argument for Black Widow. Everybody didn't like Black Widow, and I did. I enjoyed it. But yeah, when I think about it, all the MCU stories that came out this year alone, Black Widow is at the bottom of the list. Doesn't mean I don't enjoy. I do enjoy that movie, but it is the worst of the 6 so far, and there's 2 more coming. Got 2 more. But this was really good. It was. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. I enjoyed it. My rating of Eternals is probably like the same or a little more than Black Widow. 8.5. 8.5 out of 10. Really good. I think a must-watch, even for anyone who's not really... I think a must-watch for anyone who's not following the Marvel narrative, because it fits on its own. It is individualistic. Individual, whatever. I think I'm always doing that, where I'm turning every word into a fucking ad. Fucking giant fucking adjective that doesn't exist. I don't know, whatever. Yeah, definitely must-watch, I think. Definitely go check it out. Because it won't feel like anything that Marvel does. And for people who don't, I'm curious what other, I haven't talked to a shit ton of people about it. I'm curious what everyone thought of this one. It seems that audiences loved it more than critics did. Whatever. That is our Eternals discussion. So yeah, we'll just do our segments and wrap up. Right? Our next episode of Behind the Camera this week, in the spirit of Eternals, I thought it made sense to talk about the last time Marvel took a risk on an unknown superhero team, and that was back in 2014 when they came out with Guardians of the Galaxy. The 2014 instant classic Guardians of the Galaxy naturally has a lot of interesting behind-the-scenes stories that have the same energy as the film itself. Chris Pratt, of course, can bring that kind of energy, can't he? Did you know that he improvised many of his most iconic Star-Lord moments? This includes when he gave the Nova Guards the finger, the manner in which he did it, and his line, "I didn't know how this machine worked." That was all Pratt. Some of his other moments as well, like remarking about how a blacklight would make his ship look like a Jackson Pollock painting. That was all Pratt. His embodiment of the character was so good, there was no way James Gunn was going to be cutting that line or any of the other ones. James Gunn knew Pratt was perfect for Star-Lord in less than a minute of his audition. And this was after feeling Pratt was not right for the role and needed to be convinced to even let Pratt read for it in the first place. Also, did you know that Vin Diesel recorded his Groot lines in several different languages? Usually, for international releases, a dub actor will come in, but for Diesel, he figured since his character only says one line, why not do it himself? He took the time to practice the famous line, "I am Groot," many different ways. He did it in English many different ways, but also in any other language needed for the wide release. That's cool. And finally, for Bautista, Dave Bautista, to play Drax, he had to endure 5 hours of makeup a day with 18 different prosthetic tattoos. But what's also interesting is how grueling the process became even to take it off each day. Bautista would have to sit in a sauna for hours to effectively remove the makeup. What's crazy about that is you get up the next day and you do it all over again. Movie magic. Fun to learn what went into the making of some of the most iconic characters of the last decade. Guardians of the Galaxy will forever be universally loved.
Yo! Child, things are gonna get easier. Ooh, child, things will get brighter. Listen to these words. Ooh, child, things are gonna get easier. Ooh, child, things will get brighter. Now bring it down hard. Someday.
That fucking siren. That siren could not have come through at a worst fucking time. God, that always... It's a good thing that doesn't happen that much with the behind the scenes. That's rare, right? We don't usually get that. I've had a couple like that. It annoys the shit out of me when I'm right in the middle of fucking saying it. But hey, there's a lot of emergencies out there. I appreciate what they're doing. Those are the real heroes. That wasn't even an ambulance, though. That was a cop coming through after the fact. Right? Right? Anyway, let's keep it going, wrap this up. This week for our question, our verses, right? We could pick one, right? We could do a verses or a question debate. I wanted to do something kind of different and cool, and I thought of Icarus in Eternals, and then I saw a post way back, and it made me think, well, that would actually be a good debate to have. So, of these 4 characters in comic book lore, which one's your favorite Superman type character? Is it Superman himself? That's number 1, Superman. Is it Homelander from The Boys? Is it Omni-Man from Invincible? Or Icarus from the Eternals? Now, maybe I should change it a little bit and make it all bad Superman type characters. So maybe Supreme Lord Superman, one of the evil Supermans from DC. One of the evil iterations of Superman. But that's cool to think about, all the different Superman type characters there have been. There's even more, too. But we've seen a lot lately, it seems like. We've seen Superman himself, obviously, but it seems, lately Marvel gave us this. Icarus is like the first Superman type character in Marvel. They also had a Superman name drop, which I still don't get, really. I don't get that reference in the movie. What is that supposed to mean and do? Like, Superman doesn't exist in that world, or hadn't yet. What is that? Why is it all of a sudden an interesting thing? And then we had some really fucking brutal Superman-type villains with Omni-Man and Homelander. So I thought, let's make that the question this week. It makes for a good post. Let's put it that way. It definitely makes for a good post. And I don't have any recommendations right now for the episode. I don't, but maybe I could come up with something as the week goes on. I'll post about it. But that's it. We'll, you know what? Let's do our next... Yeah, you know what? I said I would last week. Let's do it. Let's do our next episode of The Draft this week. And we have moved on to writing, haven't we? So writing the first draft, part 1, from Benji's perspective, how Benji does it. Let's go for it. So, at this point, right, we've talked about how I've mapped out the whole movie in card format on index cards, right? Another thing I do with the cards is I put down the wants, the want opposed on the back of the card. I try to do a want and opposed breakdown kind of thing, where it's like, here's the character that wants something in this scene, and then here's the character trying to keep that from happening in the scene. And they're like, back and forth is our scene. It's how you figure out what the beats are of each scene and what you're building towards and how you want each scene to end and who wins the scene. In a way, every character wins a scene, beats somebody else, right? In a way. Unless it's very character driven. Maybe it's character development that the scene's focusing on. And that's a little different, but that's still, the character could be battling himself in a scene. And it's still, it'd be two sides of a character battling each other. Which one wins? It's still, it's always kind of how scenes are. Scenes are very beat to beat, building to a specific moment that then pushes the story forward a little more. At the end of every scene, you should have some kind of change. It can be the slightest bit. It's either character centric, plot centric, or it could be character development, or it could be just basic moving the plot forward, or just revealing some story information that's important. It just has to, every scene has to serve a purpose, obviously. But yeah, I just always do that on the back of the cards, just to help when I get into it. But here's how I do first drafts, because it always, for me, makes the most sense to start doing the real work in the second draft. And that's because I have this big, giant story in my head, right? I have all this stuff that kind of just needs to come out. And because if I don't get it out, it'll just kind of distract me later. I'll be like writing the second draft maybe, and I didn't do this stuff, and I'll be like, oh, maybe I should do this then. It's like, no, this way it's already, all the shit's been cleaned out, kind of. I just let it flow. When I write a first draft, I let it flow. I write whatever the fuck I possibly thought of doing for this movie, in this scene, in this sequence, in this, the whole thing. I just write the whole thing however the fuck I want, without really thinking too deeply about whether or not it's supposed to go a certain way, or if the specificity of it's adding up, or like some logistical things. If the dialogue is perfect, I don't get into that yet. I write the worst possible version of the movie first, so that later I can write the actual movie. And this is not everybody. This is, believe me, people will write a scene, not move on to the next one until that scene is 100% perfect. And I've tried it that way, and I sometimes do that in the first draft. I will spend on certain scenes a lot more time than on other certain scenes. Usually specifically my plot points, because they're the ones I've been thinking about the most at this point. You should be at least. You start with those. I'd like to know how it ends, how it begins, and the two biggest moments that get us from the beginning to the end, in the middle-ish of the movie, right? Those plot points are the most important, so they get a lot more time spent on them in any draft when I'm writing. But every scene is important. Every scene you write, so of course, at some point or another, you're going to have to, you sit down and you do the work. Every scene, every little detail matters. Everything has to be specific, has to have a purpose. But when it comes to the first draft, I do literally just card. What happens in it? Write it. Who's in it? What happens? And just go. How do I see it? How I see it cinematically in my head, and just try to just action and dialogue this thing through all the way to the end. And what happens every time that I write a first draft is I write too much. That's a good problem to have, though. You don't want to be, it's harder to be the one who doesn't have enough to write. I always have too much to write. Too much comes out. project I'm working on right now, the longest first draft I've ever written. Before that, the longest first draft I ever wrote was 170 pages long. So that just tells you how long this first draft. You can take a guess how long this first draft was. But I'll keep talking about it as we go forward. Next week I will continue to talk about how I do certain writing things in the first draft and whatnot on the next episode of the draft. But that's it. That is officially it for episode 69. We'll keep this going. I can't believe it. We're going to be on 70 next. I got to start thinking about the next special episode, which 75, I think I said was going to be either Tarantino or Scorsese-centric. I didn't quite make a decision yet, but we're getting close to it, so I'm going to have to figure that out. Yeah, season 2 has been well underway. Almost 20 episodes, basically 20 episodes into this second season, the second year of doing this. Wow. That's cool. It feels like you got something. It feels nice to have this outlet. It's a place for me at the end of the day to just sit and talk about what I think about all the time and just vent it out and I love to talk about this stuff. So it's great to have this for that. It's therapeutic in that regard. When it's not therapeutic is when I start putting pressure on myself about the whole thing. Believe me, social media it never helps. It's a toxic fucking disease that humanity created. And it's just a fact. But it's good that I can recognize that, because then I can always curb my emotions or thoughts when it comes to that. But yeah, that's it. As usual, shout out to my patrons, because they are, even if they don't watch religiously or whatever, they truly are the only people that fully support me no matter what I'm doing. So Jessica Murphy, Billy Thomas, interesting. Jessica Murphy, Michael Morganti, Linda Morganti, Doolin Morganti, Tijan Construction, all family. Thank you. Of course, always thank you guys. And you can become a patron and get a shout out. You can. Any of you. As low as $5 a month, literally, and you get a shout out. And you get merch for free whenever I do it. So that's cool. Because shirts cost money, and this, I mean, you just get one when I make them. Like, because you're a patron. It's nice, isn't it? I don't know, maybe not. But I would definitely go and become a patron at patreon.com/preacher if you want a shout out and free merch. If you want, you can go do that. That's a thing that you can do. But as always, you can follow me personally at Benji Morganti on Instagram. You can follow the show at Screen Preach on Instagram. Subscribe to BMS Studios on YouTube, because that's where the episodes are. They're also on Apple Podcasts, and anywhere else you listen to podcasts. And you want to check out my website at benmorgantistory.com for my written works and other work. Is that it? I always feel like every time I go through this, is that the last one? I always going in the wrong order. Which one is it? That is it. Okay, good. Good episode. I did feel a flow, which is good. I'm going to have my next guest on soon. It'll either be for episode 70 or 71. My friend Dave, I'm looking to have him be my next guest. I said it back when Chase was on. I have guests every now and then. It's just a lot to do when you have a guest, but we'll get there soon for the next one. But yeah, that is the episode this week, guys. Thank you for listening and watching it. If you do, I always appreciate it. So thank you very much. Yeah. Have a cinematic week.